Welcome to Women. I'm Bonnie Gilgallo. This program will introduce you to some fun, fearless, and phenomenal females. These ladies have fought through tough times, conquered their fears, and seen their dreams come true. They're creative, accomplished, and inspiring. Their stories just might give you the boost and confidence you need to create the life you've always wanted. So come along with us and meet some amazing women. Comedian and author Shann Carr keeps us laughing as she describes her journey to success in the world of comedy as a lesbian. So we're here with Shann Carr, S-H-A-N-N, who is a local comedian. So I want to go back. Where were you born initially?
San Antonio, Texas, to two military parents.
Okay, and so moved around a lot
all
as a
over
kid.
the world.
Ultimately, looking back, was that a good thing, do you think?
Absolutely. We made the most of each country, Panama, Germany, all over around the United States as well. And we all had a good attitude. It's half of why being a comedian was so easy, because you figured out pretty quickly.
Because you have to meet new people and
get you in.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, were you funny as a kid?
I was at a big table full of people, and I had everybody in stitches, and my mother was there. It was on one of the gate cruises that I work on. And they laughed, and they said, "Oh my gosh, was Shann funny as a kid?" My mom was like, "No." She was dramatic. Like she was, I don't know.
I mean, they walked in like, "Oh my God, it's fabulous."
I thought
you
I was
thought
funny.
You were funny. Okay.
Yeah, I think I didn't get a whole bunch of "Wow, you're so funny" response as a kid. I saw a comedian, a live comedy show for the first time at 19.
And that did it?
And about 12 weeks later, I was on tour with no gigs, no bookings. I went on tour for a year and made fake reviews and got people to hire me. And
wow. When you first started, what was the basis of your material?
The same thing for my entire lifetime. I have been deep inside the gay bubble.
Working on the gay circuit is a rush you're just going to have to watch.
I came out at 19. I was touring as a comedian about 12 weeks later. Mm-hmm. And the culture of that community and the fact that magically I have managed to be successful, which is, to be gay and then a comedian and then like a woman and then all these layers of how the hell could I possibly succeed? I don't know. Just luck and good fortune and observation skills. And I get away with a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not mean. I don't like mean comedy.
Yeah.
At all, so maybe that's why, because people want to hear about themselves, but you got to do that gently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So being a female, ultimately, was that an advantage, do you think?
I think it worked out that way for me. I was the one lesbian on full contract to this gay men's cruise line for
so that's
like 13
a niche.
years.
It's a niche,
right? In the whole planet, no woman has been on 79 gay men's cruises.
Okay.
Why would anyone? I started to grow man parts after a while. It was getting tricky.
Now tell me, how did your parents react, A, when you came out, and B, to your going into comedy?
My mom's first words were, "You have always been our cross to bear." Because they're, old country, Middle Eastern, but Catholic on top of it. And my dad was Southern Baptist. So basically their heads just kind of spun.
Okay.
And, but they rolled with it. The person I came out with said, it took you your whole lifetime. So your parents get some time to come to terms with it, right?
Right.
Like, it's not fair to tell them and expect that they're just
okay, fine, no problem.
Within a few years, my mom was counseling at the AIDS Project as that situation came up onto the scene. And
that's great.
They were amazing. And I gave them the time to get there, and they did it.
It doesn't sound like you had a lot of insecurity growing up on either of those issues, or you just cover it well.
No, yeah, that's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm crazy.
Now tell us about, you wrote a book, right? Tell us about that.
It was long before Born This Way, or any of that. And it's like 40 or 50 of my friends and acquaintances, and photos of them when they were kids that their mom just couldn't act like they didn't know. They bought this guy a Barbie dream house, or, whatever it was. It was the 9-year-old girl on a full, dirt bike with an engine, and come on. So it was playing kind of with the stereotypes, which you can't deny that comedy sort of starts there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hope it evolves to being a little smarter than that. Sometimes it just doesn't.
And the book was called?
you're going to be gay.
You're going to be gay. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And has that done really well? Did it do really well
You
for
know,
you?
mostly the point of it was to raise funds for a film. I was starting to do a film about 3 comedians, a drag queen, a hypnotist, and a piano player working on the gay cruise ship circuit.
Okay.
And so I sold enough books to pay for the film, and I did the film, and you know, it was fun. The film did really well, and
Great.
And so it was good.
One of the main point of the show is inspirational women and women who've followed their dreams and overcome obstacles and overcome insecurity. What advice would you have for some young woman, for whatever her issue might be, or maybe she hasn't found her calling yet? What advice would you give someone?
I'm still reinventing, you know, and so be willing to keep starting. You know, because if you don't, then you're that last person. And so take the experience from every single success and every single failure and reinvent yourself daily, monthly, yearly. I remember when my friends used to say, you know, gosh, you are relentless. You get up every time you're knocked down. And all I ever heard was, you sure fall down a lot. And that wasn't what she was saying at all.
Yeah.
It took me until pretty recently to understand everybody falls down a lot.
It was a compliment that you kept getting.
It was a compliment, and I was taking everything good out of it. And so now I'm wise enough to know that that relentlessness, that willing to start again every single day, is what has allowed me 38 years of doing exactly what the heck I want. Just entering the business world is the first time anyone said no. To me, because everything wasn't in my hands. And that's a great, now I have to reinvent how to live in that. And it's like starting over, and I'm loving learning this much at, you know, in my 50s now.
Excellent. Shann Carr, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Profiles of more great gals ahead.
Gasoline, $32. Transported, over 120,000. Meaningful connections, priceless. Your donations, volunteer time, and purchases at our resale boutique have helped Soldiers Organized Services provide a ride home to tens of thousands of active duty Marines and their family members since 2007. To donate or volunteer and be a part of this important mission, visit sosride.org.
There are thousands of dogs and cats housed in shelters that need your help. Local shelter professionals and volunteers give their heart and soul to help unwanted animals and deserve your support. Americans give millions every year to national animal organizations, but unless you give to your local shelter, you can't be sure that money will make it to the pets that need it most. Adopt, volunteer, and give to your local animal shelter. To find your local shelter, go to humaneforpets.org.
Wouldn't it be great if employees everywhere acted like they owned the company? Real caring, terrific customer service, and the ability to solve problems on the spot. Welcome to Renova Solar, a SunPower Elite dealer and now an employee-owned company.
The only
solar and battery storage company
in the Coachella Valley,
where employees
are also owners.
Renova Energy Corporation, local, brighter, better. And now with employee partners.
I'm bored. Doesn't she know about Venus de Fido?
Yeah, they have an incredible indoor playground just for us.
And they have an amazing spa just for them.
Plus, we can be groomed at the same time they're being pampered.
I'd rather have fun and VIP daycare at Venus de Fido instead of this.
Ladies go to Venus de Fido, and they don't even have a dog.
Yeah, everyone goes to Venus de Fido. Venus is genius.
Venus de Fido, the spa.
New York Times best-selling author Diana Wentworth has written 7 books, found true love again after tragedy, and even dated Elvis. So we're here with Diana Wentworth, who is another Renaissance woman. You've written many books. You're part of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
I was the first co-author with Jack and Mark in that series.
Okay, tell us about that first book.
Oh, that was amazing because it came, my whole life has been really magical. And finally, at about my 40s, I realized that my real skill was connecting people. So my late husband, Paul, and I started an organization called The Inside Edge. And it's still going after 33 years. It's a breakfast forum for great speakers and so on. But in those days, people came and joined, and we had breakfast every week. Jack Canfield joined. So did Louise Hay. So did Dr. Susan Jeffers. Mark Victor Hansen. All these people were part of it, and they hadn't written books yet.
Wow.
I mean, this is back in
Early
mid-80s.
days, yeah.
And so Jack and Mark began to put their heads together and start the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. So that all happened in the first couple years.
Wow.
And then they were turned down by 31 publishers, which is
I read that, yes.
hysterical,
Crazy,
really, when
yeah.
you think about it, because they've sold like 500 million books.
Yeah.
But anyway, they started the series, and the first 2 books got on the bestseller list. Their publisher was clear they needed to write a cookbook. And Jack and Mark kept saying, we can't write a cookbook, we don't know how to write a cookbook. Finally, it dawned on them that in my previous career, my late husband and I had been superstars in the cooking world. We had 6 books, one of which won Cookbook of the Year. We had a TV series on cooking. And they finally said, oh, Diana can do that.
Yes.
So it was really great. I got to be the very first one, and they gave me a third of the book, which they didn't do with anybody else, but they needed it in 3 months. And the rest is history. It sold almost 1 million copies, and it brought me back into the food world after leaving it.
Tell me about the story that when I first met you, I heard, when you lost your husband.
Right.
And you said to the universe, send me someone. Okay.
It was about a week before he passed, and he'd been in pain medication. He had cancer everywhere. And he suddenly became very lucid, and he said, I don't want you to be alone. And I said, send me someone. I just blurted that. I don't know where it came from. He said, I will. I will. And so that became the name of my book, Send Me Someone, A True Story of Love Here and Hereafter. Because 2 months later, my now 28-year husband.
You met him?
He walked into the Inside Edge.
Okay.
And he knew the minute he walked into the room that his new wife was there. And he said to the person who'd brought him as a guest, he said, my wife is in this room.
He just felt that. He just knew that.
He says, my wife is in this room.
Wow.
And I was hosting that day. I was the MC. And I said something truly bizarre. I mean, something I would never have said normally. Somebody said, how are you doing, Diana? It had only been about 2 months since Paul had passed. I said, well, you know, I've never had solitude before, and it's really interesting. In fact, the first man who looks at me with the idea of a live-in relationship could be the victim of an axe murder. You know, can you believe I'd said something like that? No. I mean, it doesn't even sound like me, does it? But anyway, Ted Wentworth was in the audience that day. And he just perked up when he heard that. And so during the break, during the intermission, he walked up to me, and the first thing he ever said to me was, will you live with me?
Wow, okay, that's pretty bold, yeah.
Pretty bold, and we were married 6 months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So let's go way back.
Okay.
Where were you born?
I was born in Beverly Hills.
Okay. All right. And so what did you think you wanted to do as you were growing up? What was your goal?
Oh, that's a funny story, because my parents were kind of early foodies, and we used to go to all these different restaurants. And I hadn't figured out yet that my father paid for the food. So I knew that we went to these places, and there would be this amazing woman who would come up to the table.
Yeah.
And who would say,
what would you like?
What would you like? And we all wanted different things,
Yes.
and she brought everything. And I just thought that was just magic.
Yeah.
And so I remember somebody one day saying, Diana, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, either a movie star or a waitress.
Big difference. So you do one for a while, and then you hope for the other one. Yeah. Okay.
I thought they were equally prestigious.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I did end up with a cooking show on television, so I was a movie
You
star
combined it,
waitress.
Yes. Wow.
I had a bipolar father who was very violent with his words. And so I would be terrified by that. But I wanted more than anything to have a wonderful marriage. I've always been a romantic. I learned to trust magic because when I was 18, this is the strangest story. I had just turned 18. I was at UCLA. I was on the pledge porch, and I was studying, and they had the radio just blaring. And I said, can you turn that down? And somebody said, oh, Diana doesn't like Elvis Presley. And it was like this strange feeling came over me, and I said, actually, I do like him, and I'm going to date him someday.
And you did.
And 3 months later, my mother took me on a tour of Europe, on a cook's tour. And our first stop was Paris. Now, think about it, I was 18 at UCLA. Elvis is in the army in Germany.
So the chances are...
No, but why would I even say anything like that? The girls looked at me so strangely.
Yeah.
And so my mother took me on a trip to Paris. We stopped at the Prince de Gaulle Hotel in Paris. It was the first stop. And one of the kids in our tour came running up to me and said, "Diana, Elvis Presley's in the dining room. I'm too scared to ask for his autograph."
Would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he came with me, and I walked in there, and the dining room was empty, but Elvis was standing there with a couple of his people.
Yeah.
And so I just walked right up to him. I don't know, I was fearless. I had forgotten, really that I had said this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And long story short, he invited me to go with him to the Lido that night because I think he just needed a girl on his arm so he wouldn't be devoured,
Still a date. It's still a date.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, but we became friends, and I did see him 4 more times over the next couple of years.
So magic. You believe in magic.
I do believe in magic, and but how could I have known that?
Yeah.
I mean,
you could.
There was no way in the world.
Well, Diana Wentworth has written how many books?
I'm on my 11th.
11th book, and Send Me Someone, and Chicken Soup for the Soul cookbook.
Cookbook and Chicken Soup to Inspire Body and Soul.
Okay. Diana, thank you so much. So much to talk about.
Oh, it's so fun to be here. Thank you.
Stay with us for more amazing women.
I would like to suggest fitness classes which will be beneficial to your health and well-being.
You're right. It's time we do something.
I know the perfect place for both of us.
Venus de Fido offers fitness classes for both people and their dogs. Certified personal trainers, private and group training, plus Fido and You classes that both you and your dog can take together.
I'm feeling better already.
I told you, Venus is genius.
Venus de Fido, the spa.
Right behind you.
Wounded Warrior Project, they saved me. I've come leaps and bounds.
I'm proud to be the man I am right now. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because contributions help us get back the life that we once knew.
Your gift today helps us provide programs and services desperately needed by our wounded veterans. You are the lifeline that aids our warriors in their recovery. Thank you for your continued support of Wounded Warrior Project.
Gasoline, $32. Transported, over 120,000. Meaningful connections, priceless. Your donations, volunteer time, and purchases at our resale boutique have helped Soldiers Organized Services provide a ride home to tens of thousands of active duty Marines and their family members since 2007. To donate or volunteer and be a part of this important mission, visit sosride.org.
Sheila Thornton is president and CEO of One Future Coachella Valley, whose mission is to assure all Valley students success in college, career, and in life. So we're here with Sheila Thornton, who is CEO of One Future Coachella Valley, right? So it's such a great name for an organization. So tell us what you guys do.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Bonnie. This is a wonderful opportunity. One Future Coachella Valley exists to assure that all students in the Coachella Valley can succeed in college, career, and life.
Wow.
And that's one goal that is parallel to the other goal, which is to build a thriving economy. So all of us know that educational attainment has a direct correlation with a student's ability to succeed, to get a job, and to be able to pay their bills in the future, but also to contribute their gift to a thriving economy and a high-quality workforce. That's our job.
So what specifically do you do? fit with that?
So our organization is called a backbone organization. It's a new practice that you'll find if you looked into it nationally, where we're sort of a connector between all the partners who are working on educational attainment in the Coachella Valley.
Okay.
And then pairing that with community organizations like nonprofits and also businesses, employers, who are going to employ those students in the future. And we really think long term about how would we improve educational attainment and assure that more students are able to get to college, something after high school. By college we mean any credential or a certificate or degree after high school, and ultimately that they're able to get into a job that is a pathway out of poverty and a path into a thriving future. We provide scholarships and financial aid. And then we also provide internships in partnership with a national nonprofit where we place students who are juniors and seniors in college back into the workplace so that they can get to know local employers. And ultimately, we want to see those kids hired in the local workforce. This is all about the commitment that these cross-section of partners have made to thinking of all of our students as a whole and thinking about getting more into and through college. So the 3 K-12 school districts across the last 7 years have put in place what's called career academies. And now 30% of students across the Coachella Valley are in these career academies, and they give students what's needed to equip them for some kind of a pathway into future job, but also proficiency for college. So it's a both and. It's not one or the other.
Let's go back and talk about you. So now, are you a native Californian?
I am.
Okay. Well, were you born here in the desert or LA or?
I was born in Whittier, California. I grew up in Pico Rivera, where my dad still lives.
Okay.
And I spent much of my life in that area, my young life.
And what did you want to do? What was your goal at that point?
I tell my girls often that I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to either own a business or lead. From a very early age, the leadership deal and business ownership were two of the things that were important to me.
So, 2 questions. What brought you to the desert, and then how did you first get involved with One Future?
So what brought me to the desert was my husband was recruited to lead Angel View Foundation. He was the executive director for 16 years. We were in Downey at the time. We had 4 daughters. And at the time, I was working at a nonprofit hospital there. We moved mid-year with our 4 daughters, kindergarten to 6th grade. And so I resigned my position at the hospital, and a business sort of grew out of it. A lot of people called me and asked if I would work as a consultant, and that was how I transitioned my work life out to the area.
Okay, all right. And so you have 4 daughters.
Yes.
Now, and how old are they now? Are they
22 to 28?
Okay. Yeah. So what a great role model you've been for them. What have you told them about finding your dream as a young woman, dealing with the glass ceiling, dealing with discrimination, any of that? What have you told them?
I'll start with our core message. My husband and I have been married for 30 years. We're completely in love. Our faith is everything to us, and is a critical part of the way that our family turned out, I think. Our girls, I always say to them and said from very early on, you have a roof over your head, you have food every day, and you have a mom and dad who love each other. So your task is not, and your task is not to just go out and take care of yourself, but your task is to go give your gift to the world. And that's what they've done, and they're phenomenal people, and couldn't ask for more.
Wow.
Didn't have to do much more than that.
Yeah. So have you found any bumps in the road along the way in your professional life, your career? Being a woman, bumped into the glass ceiling, anything like that along the way?
I will tell you, I was lucky right out of the gate because I was a math major at Loyola Marymount and didn't really go looking much for a job. I was a waitress at the time out in Marina del Rey. I met somebody who was on the Oliver North case, actually, and he and I became friends. He was a graphic designer for litigation support work. He introduced me to an economist in Los Angeles, and I worked for his firm for 10 years, had the 4 kids during that time, and I was an analyst in this economic consulting firm, and they gave me incredible flexibility. So I worked at home. They would send me work at home when I would have the babies because I wanted to be home with them. Right when sometimes I would get the itch because I like to be out in the world. I was often able to go back and work 3 or 4 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week. So it was complete flexibility for my first 10 years. I think the shock for me as a woman was going into the nonprofit world, because it was a flip. I was working in a relatively young environment and pretty progressive around work-life balance.
Yes.
And folks, you know, you're hired and rewarded for good work, so they want you if you're good at what you do, right?
Yes, yeah.
But working at the hospital was a little bit more structured and maybe more bureaucratic, and so that there was to some degree, I had to switch my brain from working with peers to working with people who are older than me and who were sort of founders of the community, and that's just a new way to think about your role.
Yeah.
You know?
So if you had to boil it down, your advice, I'm guessing, sounds like follow your dream, give back, give your gift, and hold on to your faith, and that'll get you through.
Yeah, and I would say service.
Service.
Care for others, because it's the pathway out. It stays with you all your life, and it gets you out of your own mind and gets you into the perspective of what you might be able to do
for other people.
For others. So.
Sheila Thornton, so lovely to meet you, and congratulations! What great work you're doing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Right behind you.
Wounded Warrior Project, they saved me. I've come leaps and bounds.
I'm proud to be the man I am right now. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because contributions help us get back the life that we once knew.
Your gift today helps us provide programs and services desperately needed by our wounded veterans. You are the lifeline that aids our warriors in their recovery. Thank you for your continued support of Wounded Warrior Project.
Think about everything that you save. You save gas, you save money, you save time. But have you ever thought about saving life? That's right, life. In just 1 hour, you could save up to 3 lives, giving 3 people more time with the ones they love. And isn't that the best thing to save? The need for blood is as universal as it is constant. Save life, give blood.
I'm going to get pampered at Venus de Fido. See you soon.
You know I can go too, right?
You're right. Let's go.
Discover the Valley's only salt cave for a completely natural cleansing experience that can also effectively treat all kinds of health conditions, all while your dog will be having as much fun as you.
You're glowing.
I feel amazing. Did you have fun?
The coolest time ever. Venus is genius.
Venus de Fido, the spa.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Women. We hope you've been inspired to take the next step to follow your own dreams. See you next time.